North Carolina News at 6 starts now.
They said this is like a 100-year flood, and it happened only 17 years ago.
Thousands of people still out of their homes following the deadly flooding from Hurricane Matthew, the very latest on rising rivers and potential dam breaches. Good evening, I'm Sean Maroney.
And I'm Beershalad May. Thanks for joining us. The latest death toll from Hurricane Matthew in North Carolina stands at 20, and the damage is adding up.
Along with millions of dollars worth of damage to buildings and roadways, the more than 2 million turkeys and chickens have been lost. CBS North Carolina Investigates Jonathan Rodriguez takes a look at the impact of that loss.
Aerial images from the Waterkeeper Alliance give new perspective to just how devastating the rising floodwaters are on our farming communities. The Commissioner of Agriculture described what he saw from above.
What he's seen, he says, is more water than he could ever imagine. Crops that are flooded out, farms surrounded by water. He has seen some flooded poultry houses.
Ag groups tell us tens of thousands of animals have already died.
We do not have any numbers at this point in time. It looks like most of the large volume, and it's probably a large volume, is chickens who were drowned.
It's left thousands of carcasses that now need to be disposed of. The governor says lined landfills across the state will now accept them, but the preferred disposal method is actually composting.
You can do it right there on the farm without having to bury a carcass, without having to move that animal. If the conditions on site are suitable, then, we want to compost if we can. You end up with a usable compost material when the process is finished.
But right now, the state's focus is providing help to the animals who are still holding out.
We know there are farms that are surrounded by water, and so those farms are cut off from their supply chain, and you can't move the animals out, and it's difficult to get feed and water and even fuel for generators into the farms.
And as for the pig farms?
The swine farms that he saw looked to be in good shape. They may be surrounded by water, but the water was not coming up to where the animals are kept.
Now, the Forest Service has actually been airlifting generators and other supplies to some farms, but another big concern is about the waste lagoons. So we're checking in with DEQ on that. Sean?
All right, Jonathan, thank you. Now, the Tar River crested above flood level today in Edgecombe County, right between the towns of Princeville and Tarboro. There is some flooding in both towns, a result of which water backing up from the storm drain system. It could have been a lot worse, though. That's what we're told, if the dike had breached. Folks have been evacuated from Princeville for days now, and they won't be returning anytime soon. The Tar River is expected to stay above major flood stage until Saturday morning. And downstream in Greenville today, hundreds gathered along the Tar River for a prayer vigil. The Tar River continues to rise, and it is not expected to crest until tomorrow, 6 feet above major flood stage. In Lenoir County, the Neuse River is expected to crest between tomorrow and Friday.
The National Weather Service expects it to reach a record height more than 7 feet above major flood stage. It's also expected to stay above major flood stage for another week. CBS North Carolina's Steve Sbragia in Kinston today, talking with folks who are already being impacted by the rising Neuse River. And Steve, this is certainly bringing back memories of 1999 with Hurricane Floyd.
Floyd was the big one they measure everything by. Now they're going to measure everything by Matthew and the floods here. A lot of places in Kinston are already feeling the effects of the rising Neuse River. For example, here in the Kinston Nature Park, it is a mess right now. The floodwaters started moving in earlier today. Down on US 70, the same thing. There are places that are in trouble right now. The rule of thumb around here, if you flooded during Floyd, you're going to flood again on this one.
It starts coming up, it'll start coming up real quick. So we want to be prepared.
Down by those two poles, there's a boat ramp along the Neuse River. Last week, we were able to actually get there. Now look how deep the water is right here. We're next to Ultimate Auto Body. Last week, they weren't worried about the storm. Today, they pulled the last of their automobiles and equipment out of here before the Neuse River surrounded it like a moat. Dave Wiggins now expects the Neuse River to put 4 feet of water into his auto body shop, which is why he and others spent the last 3 days emptying out the place.
Did any of this take you by surprise, Dave?
Definitely by surprise. They said this is like a 100-year flood, and it happened only 17 years ago.
He is talking about when the Neuse River went over its banks after Hurricane Floyd. He had 4 feet of water in the building then. That flood came with little warning. This time, they did have some advance notice.
We started moving Sunday, had a lot of friends come over, and we got basically all the cars moved, and we actually got all the equipment out.
Now the shop is virtually empty. Dave has left all the doors to his shop open so the floodwaters can roll through and not put pressure on the building walls. It's frustrating, but he says they will come back after the floods.
Been through it one time before, like I said, but it's just a big, nasty job of cleanup. But we'll get it cleaned up and try to get the doors open, hopefully in less than 30 days.
Now, as of this moment, a state of emergency exists in Kinston, not so much for this flooding, but for what they anticipate will be coming in the next couple of days. The prediction is the Neuse around here will crest at 28 feet. During Floyd, it crested at 27. Reporting live, I'm Steve Sprazier, CBS, North Carolina.
Steve, thank you. In Moore County, officials continue to monitor the Wood Lake Dam, holding back millions of gallons of water in Lake Surf from flooding nearby homes. CBS North Carolina's Carly Griffith is talking with homeowners who are evacuated and hoping for the best. Carly, what's the latest on the leak in the dam?
Well, just about an hour and a half ago, officials held a press briefing and said that there is still a threat to residents because the dam itself is in bad condition and has deteriorated even more today. They do say, though, that they have been able to reduce the amount of water flowing over the spillway by using more than 1,200 bags of sand to reroute the water. However, they want to lower the level of the dam 2 more feet before they let residents back in. Over 200 people have been evacuated and around 20 are staying at a shelter here in Carthage. More than 70 residents still are refusing to leave the area, though. To put the danger they face in perspective, Moore County Commissioner Nick Picerno said there's about 4 trillion gallons of water behind the dam. 1 gallon of water weighs about 8 pounds, so that means there's 32 trillion pounds of water waiting to escape the dam.
You think getting hit by a tractor trailer would be bad? A tractor trailer weighs what, Sheriff? 4 tons? 3 or 4 tons? We're talking about 32 trillion pounds.
And Sunday night, the dam was completely intact, and just in the past few days, it has eroded significantly. And the mandatory evacuation notice was set to expire at 6 p.m. tomorrow. However, officials say that it may have to be extended at least until they can get that water level down enough. Live in Carthage, Carly Griffith, CBS, North Carolina.
Carly, thanks. And perhaps the hardest hit area so far is in Lumberton in Robeson County. CBS North Carolina's Derek Lewis was there today as Governor McCrory toured the damage. Derek, what did he have to say?
Yeah, just to give you an idea of what it's like here in Lumberton, homes are still flooded when you're driving down the street. You can see the impact of this hurricane. This has been a deadly storm. We caught up with the governor, Pat McCrory, earlier today, and he says the total storm-related deaths is now at 20. 1 more confirmed since the 2 that were announced this morning. The state is averaging 2 deaths per day, and almost all the deaths so far have been due to drowning. The governor says no one expected this.
This is a natural disaster which we've never seen in this area. And this is a natural disaster that became suddenly with very little warning at a much bigger degree than anyone ever realized. And it's still a disaster that's impacting roads and power and water and the environment and human life.
Now, this is a look at I-95, the impact of the flooding. There's no word yet on when 95 could reopen. Water needs to recede in order to access damage to the roads. 820 people in Robeson County shelters. 4 of the 6 shelters in Robeson County have power. Now, back out here live, we're at like an emergency command center that's been set up. There are 110 military police officers and 135 National Guard soldiers here in Robeson County. Live in Lumberton, I'm Derek Lewis, CBS North Carolina.
All right, Derek, thank you very much. Let's talk about the rivers. We have been blessed now with 4 days in a row of completely dry weather, and there's a lot more to come. But remember, those river levels were all coming up until today. We have crested at the Tar River in Tarboro and Princeville. The current level now 36.2. It crested just above that earlier today. So now we begin a very, very slow fall that'll last well into next week. We stayed below the levels of Floyd back in 1990. 1999. We set an all-time record, though, at the Neuse River in Goldsboro. Current level 29.2. It crested at 29.7 earlier today, and likewise will begin a very slow fall that'll last into next week. And outside of those two rivers, we still have several streets and streams and many other parts of our area that are just way too high with water levels. So you can see we still have, despite 4 days of dry weather, flood warnings through many parts of our area. Those will start to expire in the coming days as water levels start to come down. We still have a cold front for everyone. I'll tell you when we'll feel the effects of that in just a few minutes.
All right, Wes, thank you. More emotional testimony today in the Chandler Kenya murder trial.
The former UNC student killed 3 people while driving drunk the wrong way on I-85 last year. Still ahead tonight on CBS North Carolina, state troopers described the moment Kenya learned he killed 3 people, and will tell you how fast they say he was going.
But first, Fort Bragg soldiers stepping up to help those affected by the deadly flooding from Hurricane Matthew. The inspirational story. That's next. The impact of massive flooding throughout the state, it's especially painful for homeowners without flood insurance.
The governor says many of the homes damaged are not in floodplains, and many of the areas impacted are the poorest in the state. Over the last 10 days, Staff Sergeant Kaylee Pursegraves has led an effort to clean and remodel James Jackson's home. Jackson is a retired Army veteran and doesn't have flood insurance. Since Hurricane Matthew, more than 3 feet of water entered Jackson's home.
It means a lot to me, You know, they're the only ones that stopped and said, no, you ain't gonna give up. You're gonna fix your house right back. You know, I had gave up.
The group plans to paint walls, purchase carpet and furniture, and it won't cost Jackson a dime. A GoFundMe has been created for the project. You can find a link on our website, WNCN.com.
Emotional moments in an Orange County courtroom today as jurors saw graphic dash cam video from the scene of that deadly wrong-way crash last year that killed 3 people. Coming up next, what troopers are saying about Chandler Kenya's reaction, learning he had killed those people.
And after a few days in the 60s, 70s returned to most of central North Carolina today. That changes tomorrow with a cold front. We'll update you on the timing of that front coming up in your forecast.
A jury listened to a 9-year-old girl call for help after a drunk driving crash killed 3 of her family members last year. Former UNC student Chandler Kenya caused the crash and is facing 3 counts of second-degree murder. CBS North Carolina was the only camera in court today as jurors saw the dash camera video.
Take a deep breath. For the victims' families, the video was tough to watch as the jury saw and heard what happened right after a deadly head-on crash last summer. You can hear Janiyah King, who was 9 years old at the time, cry and scream for help after the crash. King was the only person in the car to survive. Darlene McGee, Felicia Harris, and Harris's 6-year-old daughter Janice Beard all were pronounced dead at the scene.
The evidence indicates Ms. Harris was operating her vehicle in a safe and lawful manner. She anticipated the hazard and applied her brakes in an attempt to avoid the collision.
The jury also saw an animation of the head-on collision. Troopers say Chandler Kenya, the driver of the Jeep, was traveling the wrong way on the interstate for at least 3 miles before the crash.
At speeds between 70 and 90 miles per hour.
Troopers say Kenya broke down and cried when they told him he killed 3 people.
Yes, he was crying.
He was crying?
Visibly, yes.
Visibly crying. And you told him shortly after that he had murdered 3 people tonight?
Yes, sir.
And that may be the only perspective we get from Kenya, as his attorneys say Kenya will not take the stand and testify. Reporting in Hillsborough, David Hirsch, CBS, North Carolina.
CBS North Carolina has been in court since the beginning of this trial. You can find our full coverage, including testimony from Chandler Kenya's fraternity brothers, online at WNCN.com.
The race for the White House is back in North Carolina today. Indiana Governor and Republican vice presidential nominee Mike Pence, he is holding a rally right now in Raleigh. This is live. If you want to listen in, you can live stream it right now on our website, WNCN.com, or through our mobile app. CBS North Carolina political reporter Bo Minnick is there, and we'll have a full report tonight on the news at 11.
Well, the great news, I feel like, in terms of the weather front is we don't have any rain in the forecast, and we have a lot of sunshine out there.
Yep, and it's going to stay that way for a long time. with the exception of the whole sun setting tonight thing.
All right, that
so it
whole
won't
thing.
stay sunny tonight. In fact, Rochelle, that sun sets in 30 minutes. That's the bad thing about this time of year. We love these cooler temperatures. We don't like how our days are getting shorter, but that sun setting in about 30 minutes as it is now 71 degrees. And let's just remind ourselves how good we got it. I know we've still got a lot of work to do. A lot of people still hurting on the ground, but the weather has been very cooperative. 71 now. It could be a lot worse. It could be 29 degrees like they are in Montana right now, or it could be a lot hotter. Brownsville, Texas, the hottest spot in the country right now at 90 degrees. So I am very happy with our forecast and our current temperature of 71 degrees. Still waiting for a few of our weather stations to come back online, so those holes will still be there for another couple weeks most likely, but the stations we do have reporting 60s and 70s, and we'll continue to see those numbers go down as we head into tonight. Again, keeping it dry for the foreseeable future. We'll fall down to 60 degrees at 8 o'clock, continuing hour by hour through the 50s overnight, and you're out the door tomorrow morning to work and school. Temperatures right about 50 degrees. High pressure in front of the cold front. There it is, moving through the Midwest right now. And yes, there are rain showers and clouds with it, but those will not be here. We've got the cold front without the rain. So by tomorrow, we're just ahead of the cold front. And when that happens, it's usually the warmest day on the forecast. And that's exactly how it's working out this time. So we'll be flirting with 80 degrees in some spots tomorrow. But that front comes through and no 80s by Friday. It'll still be sunny thanks to high pressure moving in again behind this front. But our temperatures will be drastically cooler. Then we'll kind of level off as we head into the weekend. We'll stay sunny and dry with temperatures right about 70 degrees. So again, it's Thursday tomorrow. We'll see temperatures the warmest we've seen in a few days. 78 in Raleigh, 77 in Durham, 81 in Fayetteville. Of course, tomorrow is also the start of the North Carolina State Fair. And if you happen to have time and can put aside your worries that we've had over the past week, the State Fair starts at 3 tomorrow. It's an afternoon start time, goes until midnight, ride included. And you can see temperatures start off about 78 at 3, 73 at 6. Fireworks times, we'll see temperatures about 62. So your 7-day forecast will take us from that warm day tomorrow ahead of the front of 78 down to 68 Friday after the front. We'll stay in the upper 60s on Saturday with low 70s returning Sunday. And then we've got highs close to 80 by next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So don't forget that cooler weather on Friday will be in effect for Friday night football too. So it'll probably be chilly for those games as well as Saturday morning practices or garage sales. So it's going to be warm tomorrow, but don't let that fool you because you're going to need those long sleeves again by Friday and Saturday morning.
Get too comfortable
No.
with this weather.
It's back and forth. Thank you, Wes. Well, speaking of the fair, Todd Gibson is here now to talk about that. Gibby?
Yeah, the State Fair begins tomorrow, and you know what that means. Roller coasters, fried Oreos, and hockey. That's right, hockey. The fair comes to town, and the Carolina Hurricanes head out of town to start the season like they always do. The Canes' annual fair excursion is underway, the team having left earlier today for Winnipeg. We'll hear from head coach Bill Peters as the Canes begin a 6-game road swing.
And ahead on the CBS Evening News, the first television interview with the widow of Keith Lamont Scott, who was shot and killed by a Charlotte police officer last month, sparking days of protests.
What role do you think race played in the shooting of your husband? 100%.
Well, it happens every year at this time. The Carolina Hurricanes subjected to a road trip that usually buries them in the standings. While the rest of us enjoy the fair, the Hurricanes leave the comforts of home, beginning a 6-game road swing in Canada. The Canes practiced this morning at Raleigh Center Ice, then boarded a plane for Winnipeg. Take on the Jets on Thursday night. Season openers are special for everyone, including coaches who have very important details to take care of before the drop of the puck.
Oh, it's exciting, yeah. We had to get the rust knocked off, too, running the bench and learning everybody's nickname. We've got a Victor Stolberg and we have a Victor Rask. So when I'm saying Victor, Rasker looks at me and goes, which one? And, I've never had that issue before. So it's Rasker and now it's Berger, so we're good.
It could be confusing. Rasker and Berger, the Victors have their nicknames all ironed out. It's bound to be a great road trip for the Hurricanes. The women's ACC basketball tournament has a new home for now. Today it was announced the 2017 event will be played in Conway, South Carolina. The HTC Center on the campus of Coastal Carolina will be the host as the ACC celebrates its 40th anniversary of the women's tournament. This will mark the first time in 20 years the event has not been played in the Tar Heel State, including 17 straight in Greensboro. The first round of the SAS Golf Championship is just 2 days away as Prestonwood Country Club will welcome the best players the Champions Tour has to offer. 39 of the top 40 players in the current Schwab Cup standings will invade Cary, including all 16 winners. Now, if you've not seen these guys play, you'll be shocked at just how good they are.
You know, these guys are coming straight from the PGA Tour. They're healthier, they're in better shape, they're eating right, except for maybe on the Prestonwood buffet. But they're coming out here, and the competition level is just so high.
Turning 50 did not slow these guys down. Should be a great weekend of golf at Prestonwood. And in case you missed it late last night, the Cubs with a great comeback win at San Francisco. The Cubs came to the ninth inning, trailing by 3, but shocked the Giants with a 4-run ninth. Former Durham Bulls pitcher Matt Moore shut the Cubs down for 8 innings, but was taken out in the ninth, and Chicago lit up the Giants bullpen for a 6-5 win, a spot in the National League Championship Series. And that did not make Wes happy. Of course, he's a Cardinals fan. Needed Bill Ray sitting
Did Bill Ray tell you to
there.
put that in there?
He twisted my arm and gave me a $20 bill. So
Well,
what
there
can
you
I
go.
say?
You just had to pay up. That's
He's
all
still
you did.
celebrating.
If I would have known this, I would have gone long in my full weather segment, so we had to kill that Cubs story.
Oh, wow.
That is deep.
I guess I got to root for the Cubs now.
You will not root for the Cubs. You know you will.
I mean,
it's not happening.
I might.
No way.
We like Bill. Here is your forecast. Again, the North Carolina State Fair begins tomorrow. We're going to be close to 80, but that cold front Friday morning drops us back into the 60s. So 2 different wardrobes the next 2 days.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here at 11.